Hey guys, welcome to Crick-Chat. I am R.NITINKUMAR. How are you guys doing? இன்னைக்கு ஷோ கொஞ்சம் டிஃப்ரெண்டா பண்ணலான்னு பார்த்தோம். Usually we have our guest on the show, Dr.V. Ramasundaram. However, இன்னைக்கு he is not able to join us. So I thought let me share my thoughts and perspectives on how India has played in this current T20 World Cup, and also look at the preview of the big game, the finals to be played at MCG on 13th November, Sunday, England versus Pakistan. So that's a massive game. So getting right into the show, the performance of India. I'm sure each and every one of us, especially all the cricketing fans around the globe supporting India, are very well disappointed, and they have the right to be. Not just because we exited the World Cup at the semi-final stage, but mainly the manner in which we lost that game. It's very hurting. And I'm sure the players are even more disappointed than us. So the 15 members who have represented India in this World Cup are completely disappointed and feel totally gutted the way they have played, especially the semi-finals. So I don't think it's the right time to finger point at any player and question their intent or the way they played. But I think it just happened to be yet another day where we did not perform on the big stage. The only concern is it is happening consistently. I understand if it is happening once in a while, but if you look at the history, the same thing repeated itself last year in the T20 World Cup, where we lost the big game against Pakistan by 10 wickets. We went on to lose against New Zealand, and we didn't even make the semis. Same was the case in the 2019 World Cup, 50 over World Cup, where the big game against New Zealand, we had a batting collapse, right? And I know some of the players said it was just a bad 30 to 45 minutes, which completely let us down. We cannot be judged by that. Totally understand, right? We cannot judge a team by the 30, 45 minutes. But the fact that it is happening regularly is something concerning a lot of the Indian fans, right? And we all want India to do well at the big stage. And we have been waiting for a ICC trophy since 2013, the last that we won against England in the Champions Trophy. So now, not looking at the whole situation emotionally and not trying to pick a specific player for the fact that we have not done well, I just wanted to share my thoughts on where India could have done better and what are the areas that they need to look at moving forward. Now, the next T20 World Cup is to be played in West Indies and USA 2 years from now. So there is a good amount of time with the Indian team and the management to reset the whole thing. I mean, the best example is to go back and look at the way England reset the whole white ball format after their debacle in 2015 when they lost to Bangladesh and they exited the World Cup. So the entire ECB looked at resetting the entire white ball process, and we completely had different phases. And then they went on to win the 50 over World Cup under Owen Morgan, and now they are in the finals in this current World Cup as well. So some of the areas, right? So maybe there are 4 or 5 things that I just wanted to share with you. Firstly, I think the team selection itself could have been better. When you know that you are playing in Australia under quite basic conditions, the ball expecting to swing more, I think we needed to have pace battery in our bowling lineup. I know Shami was a last-minute replacement, but I still felt we could have maybe picked somebody like a Mohammad Siraj or maybe an Umran Malik just to exploit the pace. You look at teams like England and Pakistan who went on or are going on to play the finals. They have Mark who do bowls at 150 Ks. You look at Pakistan, you have Aris Raf bowling close to 150 Ks, right? So you need that X factor in the bowling to zip the ball through and to make the batsman keep guessing, right? So I know Bumrah was missed, right? So, but I think we could have gone for an extra pace bowler who could have bowled at that 145 to 150 Ks, right? I know we have not that many bowlers, but definitely the couple of options I said could have been considered. But I'm sure Indian team had the reasons for not going that way. But in the hindsight, yes, that could have been an option. The other thing in the team selection was also the fact that we had almost 3 spinners in the Indian squad, right? Whether did we need 3 spinners, right? Because Australian wickets, as we all know, is quite flat quite bouncy and it's not going to turn much, especially for the finger spinners. Having two finger spinners, especially in the playing 11, also created the challenge of us not able to pick wickets in the middle overs. So strategically, I felt India could have had a better balance. I know Ravindra Jadeja was missed, so they went with Akshar Patel. But nevertheless, Harshal Patel was available. He could have played as an extra seamer because a lot of these conditions did offer assistance to seam and swing. So they could have played an extra batsman who can bat as well, and then played one spinner. Maybe Ashwin, if they trusted Ashwin that much, they could have played with Ashwin. But ideally, I would have gone with Chahal. And this is not in hindsight. I shared my thoughts long back, even before the game started, that Chahal should be in the playing 11 and you would find his spot in any team globally in the playing 11. Wrist spinners are match winners. And I still remember there was a point in time when Ashwin and Jadeja were completely dropped after we lost the ICC Champions Trophy, if I'm not wrong, for Pakistan once. And they said, we are going to go with wrist spinners. And they brought in Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal. And they played with that combination for 4-5 years. And suddenly you see a complete change in strategy where a finger spinner has come into the picture. And Chahal has been your match winner all this while, and him not finding a spot is little mysterious. And same was the case in the last year World Cup as well. He was not even in the 15. And this time he was in the 15 but didn't get a chance to play. So I don't know the thinking behind that. Maybe they felt Ashwin was a better bat who could offer something with the bat towards the end, which he did in 1 or 2 games, especially against Bangladesh. But just for the 10-15 runs, you are compromising on a wicket-taking capability of Chahal, right? So do you want the 10 runs or do you want a match winner like Chahal to take you the 2-3 wickets? With all due respect to Ashwin, is a phenomenal bowler. I'm a big fan of Ashwin. His guile and his variations are phenomenal. But just that these wickets did not suit Akshar or Ashwin much, right? So I don't think they are at fault, but I think the combination in which they played also put a lot of pressure on Ashwin and Akshar to do a lot more than what they could have done on these wickets, right? So overall, I think it could have been better thought in terms of that team combination. Then coming to the if I may call the template of playing T20, right? So every team has a particular template in which they want to play the T20. You look at England, they are batting stacked with Chris Jordan in the team. Now they bat all the way till 10. So they want to go all out right from ball 1 and not worry about losing wickets. And that's the template. They want to post scores consistently in the range of 180 to 200 and put the other team on pressure. It may not work all the time. I'm sure there are some wickets where you have to bat differently, but at a very broad level, I think that is a template Owen Morgan brought into the team, and now Josh Butler is doing the same thing. Indian team also, after the last year's World Cup, the exit in the last year's World Cup, preferred to play in that format. I know the Indian management did address the press and say that irrespective of whatever situation we are in, we'll go play with the ultra-aggressive cricket. And that was one of the reasons why a lot of the known names who have done well in ICC Champions Trophy did not feature in the squad, right? They felt the current 15 are the ultra-aggressive team who can take the game to the next level. Which was one of the reasons why they lost exited in the last year's World Cup. Now, after having set the template, playing that way in the bilateral series till the World Cup, going on to play a very defensive cricket, especially in the first 6 overs, was one of the big reasons why we could not capitalize and go on to win the big games. Especially if you look at the game against South Africa, we were folded for 133, if I'm not wrong. You look at the game against England, which looked a flat batting wicket. It was one of the best wickets that India had got in this entire series. And I think even if they had scored 30 runs, 40 runs more, England would have gone on to win. So I think the approach that the openers took in the first 6 had a lot to say in terms of the mindset or the confidence that they were playing with. They were very worried whether losing wickets might hamper the scoring rate towards the end. So they tried playing themselves into the game and then wanted to accelerate towards the end. But it can work once or twice. I know it worked against Pakistan. We had a very poor start. Virat Kohli made a miraculous innings and made us get over the line. literally in the last ball, right? It could have gone either ways, but it cannot happen always. So I think the openers should have played little more aggressively. Both KL and Rohit, they have been phenomenally great white ball players, right? Let it be in the IPL or let it be even for India in the bilateral series. But coming into the World Cup, I don't know what goes into their mind, but they became too defensive. If you look at our average power play score, it was close to 35 or 36, 6 runs per over. It was one of the poorest run rates that any team could have in a power play in this World Cup. I think it was even lower than Zimbabwe, if I'm not wrong. And then they went on to score almost 105, 110 runs in the last 10 overs to make up for what has happened in the first 10, right? So, and thanks to Surya's brilliance, his blitzkrieg knocks, especially the one against Zimbabwe, and few other knocks that he played. So that has saved us in a lot of games. So that's been an area where I think we need to address moving forward. What is the template that you want to play with? If there are conditions that demand you to respect the wicket, no problem, right? So maybe a 40, 45 out of 6 overs is totally understandable. But every game playing at 5 or 6 runs per over, that too in a big stage, is not helping Indian team get that momentum and win games easily. So that's the other area. The third area is also more to do with the captaincy, especially in the last game of Rohit Sharma. He's been a brilliant captain, especially for Mumbai Indians, and also has not lost a tournament, a bilateral series tournament until coming into the World Cup. Yes, we lost the Asia Cup, but if you look at the bilateral series, he has been amazing, right? So I think especially in the game against England, we could all see that he was under pressure, especially when we scored 168 and when England went on to bat. Josh Butler and Alex Sales felt that that was maybe a below par or a par score, and they started demoralizing our bowlers by coming down the wicket, taking all the spinners, not allowing the bowlers to settle into the line. So I just felt Rohit could have been a little more aggressive there. Maybe he could have gone with Ashdeep for one more over. He gave only 1 over to Ashdeep. It was a spinning wicket, right? So the way their spinners bowled were amazing. In fact, Adil Rashid bowled one of his best spells in T20 cricket, and every ball he looked like taking a wicket. So they played with a slip. So why didn't Rohit go with a slip, or maybe with a backward short leg? Positions that are more catching and create that extra pressure, right? Because Ashwin did get some turn in the first over, but I think a lot of spinners need to be given confidence as well. So unless you give them that extra catching positions and make them feel that they are, capable of taking wickets, sometimes it does not help spinners, right? So I just felt Rohit could have been a little more aggressive when the spinners came into bowl. No doubt, our bowlers also bowled quite short, and they missed their lengths a lot. And I also felt the captaincy of bringing Pant up to the stems after the first ball when Josh Butler came down the line, came down the wicket, was not a very positive move. It shows that you are still defensive. So these are areas where tactically the mindset was I might lose the game, right in the second or third over. Once that feeling sets in, it's very difficult. So they were looking for inspiration from somewhere. Unfortunately, we could not have it that day, and we ended up having that big loss, right? So there are a lot of things could have gone better. Maybe a wicket in the first or second over, the game could have changed, but it just didn't happen. But I just felt Rohit should have thought outside the box. Maybe looked at bowling Ashdeep at a stretch for 2 or 3 overs, or why Shami was brought little later. I'm not sure. He could have brought much earlier. He could have persisted with Bhuvi to bowl much fuller. There are a lot of areas that we could have, we can address and discuss. But I think on a whole, the captaincy could have been a little better on the field. No doubt, I think our batting was also not great. It's just not the bowling department on that day. As I said earlier, our start was not great. So it puts a lot of pressure on the middle order when the openers don't play well. They tend to obviously try to bring the game into a stage where they can then accelerate towards the end. So that way they lose a lot of overs. So we ended up playing Adil Rashid for 5 overs, 4 overs, 20 runs, right? And with the wicket of Surya, the biggest wicket at that point of time. So that was the big part where the game completely changed, and Livingston as well. So both Livingston and Adil Rashid settled into the line and length, and we are great players of spin. And I felt if you have brought in Rishabh Pant at that time, especially instead of Dinesh Karthik, to play Adil Rashid, why not send Rishabh Pant up the order when you have lost 2 early wickets, both Rohit and KL back in the pavilion, and Adil Rashid was bowling. Virat was obviously milking singles towards long on, long off, trying to build it. But we needed somebody to accelerate the other end. I just felt Rishabh could have come into the picture and maybe tried taking on Adil Rashid. Could have made a difference. We don't know. In the hindsight, could have worked. But if you are bringing somebody for a matchup, ensure that we use them. And by the time Rishabh came into play, it was towards the end. We hardly had 1 or 2 overs to play, and it didn't help India much. Brilliant knock by Hardik, nevertheless. I think he was a saving grace. Otherwise, we could have held it for much lower score. So I think a lot to think from Indian team's perspective. The important area that very important area that I also feel we also need to relook at is in terms of having a lot of youngsters also with the team. I think moving forward, T20 definitely involves a game of aggression, fearless cricket. We have some phenomenal T20 cricketers in India who play fearless cricket, right? If a lot of these people have also played the bilateral series for India, scored a lot of runs. So I think it is high time our management looks at giving them extended opportunities. And even if they falter, they have a long way to go. They are going to learn. And with 2 years time available for the next T20 World Cup, I think we need to have a good balance of youth and experience. And a lot of youngsters are waiting in the lines, wanting to play for India very, very badly. And I'm sure they will express themselves and play fearless cricket. And I hope a lot of these thoughts are going to get put into action soon. So I know as cricketing fans, we are all upset. I know it's, but at the end of the day, it's just a cricketing game, and there is always a next time. The good news is we have a 50-over World Cup coming next year around the same time to be played in India. I'm sure we are a far better 50-over team. We play the format far better than T20, just purely by stats in terms of how we have approached the game and how we play it. So I'm sure, I think we'll go all out and try to win the 50-over World Cup. I think we as fans need to continue to support our team and make them feel not let down. I know it was a bad day. Let's hope that we do well next time. So that was the first piece where we covered how India's campaign has been. Now let's look at the big game, England versus Pakistan, to be played on Sunday, the November 13th. To me, these are the two best teams that are playing the finals. I think the two right teams to put the right words here. Brilliant bowling team, one of the best bowling teams in the world today, and one of the best batting lineups in the world today. Right? It's going to be a great contest. But before that, keeping fingers crossed, there is a prediction of rain. 80% chances of rain being predicted on the first day, which is on the day of the finals, which is on Sunday, and there is a 90% of chance of rain predicted on the following day. If that is the case, the trophies are going to be shared. Both England and Pakistan will share the trophy, but we don't want the World Cup to end that way. We want one team to win the cup. So let's hope and pray the rain gods stay away and we get some cricket. And the reserve day will mean that the game will not start afresh. The game will continue in case on the first day, which is the slotted day, which is on 13th. In case the game starts and rain washes play, the game will continue from where it has been left. If you can remember our 2019 finals, semi-finals with New Zealand, it was a very similar prospect where we played over 2 days. A 2-day, 1-day international was played. So even here, the same thing would be practiced. So now, just looking at both the teams, I feel England going into this match have a great momentum and their combination is working well. Their top order are firing. Their bowlers are firing, especially the spinners are bowling well, which is very important. But Pakistan's big plus that came in the game against semi-finals was the form of Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. I think they are the two pure match winners with the bat for Pakistan. When they fire, I think Pakistan 9 out of 10 times go on to win because they put on a big score. And when they put on a big score, the bowling attack of Pakistan, on their day, they are unplayable. And Shaheen Shah Afridi is back into form. The way he brings the ball back into the right-handers, the late swing in the air is literally unplayable. Alex Hales and Josh Butler both have that weakness of playing the ball when it comes into them. So it's going to be an interesting prospect. So I think the first 6 overs, either ways, in both sides, right? How England batters play Shaheen Shah Afridi, Aris Rao, and co in the power play is going to be crucial. How they want to set the momentum is going to be crucial. I don't know if they would be able to go all out the way they went against India. If they do that, I'm sure England is going to go and put a big total and put Pakistan under pressure. But on the other side, if Pakistan go on to take some early wickets, England's middle order have been a little weak. They have not fired as much as they would have expected them to. So there is a little bit of weakness. The fact that David Malan is out and Phil Salt has come into play. I think it is his first game as well. So yeah, I think he played a practice game, if I'm correct. So with him coming into play with not much game time, it's going to be a little difficult to play a team like Pakistan. And Chris Jordan has also come into the team instead of Marco, which is a big loss for England because he's been the X factor when it comes to bowling. As I said earlier, giving them that extra, few knots to take the ball and zip through. So that's going to be a big area where England will miss these 2 players. So Pakistan does have an edge. So Pakistan are playing with a complete level and they have settled into a right combination of all players playing well. The middle order is also firing for Pakistan. If you look at Iftikhar, Shan Masood, they've all scored runs at different points of times, especially who can forget the innings of Shatab Khan against South Africa, the blitzkrieg that he played, went on to get them the match. So their middle order is completely in form. Now the top order is coming to form. The bowlers are bowling well, and they are quicks. And the best part is MCG is a much bigger ground when compared to Adelaide, especially on the square boundaries. So which means there are going to be a lot of twos and threes for taking. And the ball is going to definitely bounce. There's going to be a lot of carry, and there is definitely you can expect a lot of swing as well. So it's a very mouth-watering prospect. I feel Pakistan has an edge, or the momentum, that if I may say so, moving into this game, due to their combination of the 11 and the fact that all their 11 players are well settled into their roles, unlike England, where a couple of players are fairly new into the roles. But you never know. England are the champion side, and I'm really impressed with the way Josh Butler has been captaining the team, especially some of his moves in the field, his angles at which he wants certain players to field. I really like the way Adil Rashid and Josh Butler prize the wicket of Surya, the thinking behind it. Bowling, giving it a lot of air, bowling outside off, having a deep point fielder, making him towards it. So they have been able to plan well, and they have put in a lot of preparation, practice, thoughts behind how they want to play each game. And with the brand of cricket that they are playing, you can never count them out as well. But I just feel it could be a repeat of 1992 World Cup. England, Pakistan played, and Pakistan went on to win the World Cup. Maybe history can repeat itself, but end of the day, let's hope for a great cricketing game, and let's wish and pray that the rain gods stay away. So, guys, I hope you would also be enjoying the finals to be played on Sunday, and see you soon, and take care.